Mbali tumetoka na bado tunasonga, kote tumeenea. The future is on, tuanzishe mapya kwa wazo na ndoto. Tumefanikiwa, I&M the future, doing good, bega kwa bega, shoulder to shoulder, steadily we grow.
I&M Bank.
Mbali tumetoka na bado tunasonga, kote tumeenea. The future is on, tuanzishe mapya kwa wazo na ndoto. Tumefanikiwa, I&M the future, doing good, bega kwa bega, shoulder to shoulder, steadily we grow. I&M the future, doing good. I&M the future, steadily we grow. Now and the future, bado tunasonga. I&M the future, I&M the future.
I&M Bank.
Mbali tumetoka na bado tunasonga, kote tumeenea. The future is on, tuanzishe mapya kwa wazo na ndoto. Tumefanikiwa, I&M the future, doing good, bega kwa bega, shoulder to shoulder, steadily we grow.
I&M Bank.
Good morning. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Ooh, I like the energy. Sounds amazing. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for your patience. And as we settle in, before we kick off, I'd like to very quickly invite somebody to give us a warm welcome to our event today. He will be reciting a poem for us. His name is Timothy Mwashi. He's a fourth-year student of financial economics here at Strathmore University and a beneficiary of I&M Foundation. Let's give him a warm round of applause as he kicks this off for us.
Good morning, everyone. As I've been introduced, my name is Timothy Mwashi. I'm currently a fourth-year student doing financial economics. I'm in my final semester, and I'm also a beneficiary of the I&M Foundation. So I prepared a piece today to show my appreciation for the support that I have received so far from the I&M Foundation and from the Strathmore University Financial Aid Office. So this poem is before I&M and during I&M themed. The title of the poem is When Hope Was a Whisper. There was a time I almost let go, when life was heavy and dreams sank low. I walked in shadows, unsure of the way, part fighting, part lost, thinking my hopes will surely decay. I labored through nights, did odd jobs just to keep up and eat. With tired hands, a creaking back, and weary feet, I watched as my friends chased their dreams so high, while I just stood there, still, stuck in limbo, and asked, but why? I shrunk myself, kept silent, ever so still, and designed to be small, afraid to disturb, afraid to bother, still afraid to call. I thought that my struggles were too small not to show, and too much to be borne. I thought that my unworthy woes wouldn't be heard and that none should know. School felt like a distant dream, like stars in the sky, so dazzling so far, but yet not to be seen. And I feared that my chance had passed me by. But then came a steady hand, so true and supporting, a promise of hope from agents like you, agents of dreams, shepherds of bloom, to uphold a great view for my future. You turned my whispers into a melodious song. You proved my doubts and fears were wrong. Now in my final year, I pause and look back and see the vast distance that we have come together. So vast was the dream to me. To think that I once thought I will never stand. To dream so high while it still seeps through my fingers like sand. On this very path and books in my hands. Through this chance, my future is now bright. Because of you, now my world feels right. And through all this, I have not won the cup yet. Not drawn and won in the cup of the finality and the finishing. This future, this journey, I'll never forget. For soon, I'll be first in my family line to earn a degree and let the hope shine. And to my peers who share this grace, let courage and honor be your pace. Though storms may come and nights might feel long, hold fast to hope, for you are strong. With ambition burning and gratitude true, let every step speak thanks to those that chose you when the world didn't, when many didn't. Weather the journey and let nothing confine, for the future of your dreams will surely shine. Thank you, I&M. Thank you, Strathmore University, for standing in my corner and letting me soar, lighting the path and letting me glow, to flourish in grace and become more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Timothy. Let's give him another warm round of applause. For the future of your dreams will truly shine, and that is the impact we're here to celebrate today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, and a very warm welcome to the I&M Foundation's 5-year Impact Celebration. Now, before we formally begin, I'd like you to do one thing. Please take a moment to introduce yourself to one person next to you that you do not know. And I know usually you will sit next to somebody you know. So hopefully you will turn behind or in front. Please say your name, say something short, small about yourself. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you. All right. That took a little longer than I thought. Not your life story, just a name and something small. Good morning. Now, the reason I asked you to do that is quite simple. While our name tags may have different names and different titles, we are all here for the same reason. We're all united by a common purpose. Now, in this room, we are essential collaborators on a shared journey towards a sustainable future for Kenya. And my role today, which I'm really excited about, is to help facilitate conversations around that collaboration. That collaborative spirit is what we're here to celebrate today, and in a moment, I will be sharing with you the hashtags that we're using on social media, so that we can just share it in your, on your timelines for those who are not, have not been able to be with us here today, so they can get a glimpse of what we're celebrating. So I'll share that with you in a moment. And my name is Terry Ann Chebet, and I'm excited to be your master of ceremonies this morning. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is a true measure of an institution's success? 5 years ago, a decision was made that the answer lies not in the balance of its sheets, but in the balance it creates in the society that it serves. A decision to dedicate a significant industry-leading 2% of its annual profit, the highest commitment of any bank in Kenya, to creating lasting and meaningful change. That decision has a name. It is the I&M Foundation. So today we're here to celebrate 5 years of that decision, 5 years of impact. And as we go along, we'll get to find out more about the program pillars and also hear from you and our panelists on what that journey has been like and what strategic partnerships actually do look like. So to start us off, I would like to now welcome Dr. Edward Mungai, the DVC Partnerships at the Strathmore University, to give us the host address. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Terry. And thanks, Timothy, for starting us on a good note. So the Executive Director, I&M Group, Sajid Shah, the Chair of the Board, I&M Board, Eric, the Group CEO, Gulkan, James Gatere, the Head of I&M Foundation, the Board of the Foundation, members of the Board of the Group, the partners, the EXCO of the bank, and also the foundation. Welcome to Strathmore University. For us, it couldn't be better that you chose to celebrate your 5 years with us. Before I make remarks, let me recognize the presence of some distinguished guests. We have a representative from the Ministry of Youth, Creative Economic Sports. I don't know if the PS is around or she will be sending someone. Okay, if they come, we'll be happy to welcome them. We also have a representative from the Ministry of Education, State Department for Technical Vocational Education, Training, and also the State Department for Basic Education. Again, if the representatives are here, welcome to Strathmore. And finally, we also have the Ministry of Environment, State Department for Forestry, and also the State Department for Environment and Climate Change. Again, if they're here, please feel very welcome. And if they do come, we'll obviously recognize them. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. As you have been told, my name is Edward Mungai. I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Partnership and Development. Here representing, first of all, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vincent Ogutu, who is occupied but will be joining us a bit later. And also the University Management Board and the entire university community, starting from our University Council. As I mentioned, this couldn't be a better choice for us because we have worked with the foundation for many years. I think we are going now to the booth here. And we already have, through this foundation, been able to graduate 33 students, graduated already. Okay? And so it's not just starting. We are graduating. And of course, we have, I think, 22 students currently going through our courses. And from already the agreements we have, which we are sure we are going to keep, by 2028, we'll have already onboarded 85 students. So that shows that's already committed. I'm sure James knows we have other discussion. We would like to grow this number as much as possible. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to Strathmore University as we celebrate the remarkable milestone of 5 years of transformative impact by the I&M Foundation. Today's gathering is not merely about marking time, but about honoring a vision, as has been said by Teddy here, that has touched countless lives and inspired hope for the future. I think Timothy's opening story here just supports that. In just 5 years, the foundation has championed causes that resonate deeply with all of us. And walking around the booths here, seeing what you're doing in the forest, seeing what you're doing, of course, with Palm House, I mean, cuts across. With communities in the Mara, I mean, you are doing a lot. So we actually see that you are committed to this. So through education and skills development, which I see is your current focus, you have opened doors of opportunity for young people to dream and achieve. And through economic empowerment, you have enabled communities to build livelihoods, dignity, and resilience. I was listening to the group that is dealing with the people in the slums. I mean, okay, it's very inspiring that you can get people who have had serious challenges, work with a group, empower them until to a point where they are employers. I mean, when we talk about transformation, you couldn't do it. And the lady who was talking to us here about Gong Road and the forest and what they are doing, it's impressive. So, and obviously that's through your environmental conservation focus. So, and in so doing, you have reminded all of us about our shared responsibility to safeguard the planet for generations to come. These are not just initiatives. They are building blocks for sustainable transformation. They also remind us of a profound truth. When your institutions and communities and partners come together, the impact is not just added, it is multiplied. And therefore, again, having the partners come here, it helps us to see that we have trained students, as you have seen 2 of them. They have graduated, they are working, and some of them are working with one of our partners. So you can see the cycle. Not to mention working in the bank, which again, we are very happy. Congratulations, as I finish the I&M Foundation on this inspiring journey. We are honored to host you today as you celebrate the 5 years. I was going to say 50, so I'm hoping we'll get there. Of course, the bank did the 50. So, and we look forward to working with you and with all the partners here as we continue to shape lives, strengthen communities, and secure a better future. For us at Strathmore, by the way, as I finish, that's some of the stories that we have are just, so when you get time, for example, go to the YouTube and see one of our students, Bekari Othiambu, who finished law. Of course, the story of where he came from. and now is working as a legal and compliance manager at PayPal, supporting the bank. But the story is just something. And we have many of them. Just pick this one because you can actually see the feedback to the obvious financial sector. So karibuni sana to Strasbourg University. May you enjoy your celebration and stay with us. Asanteni. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edward. Let's give him another warm round of applause for welcoming us into the space and telling us a little bit more about the partnership between Strathmore University and I&M Bank. And in our panel discussion later this morning, we will also have the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vincent Ogu, to join us on the panel to share a little bit more about that partnership. All right, I'd like to now welcome the head of I&M Foundation, Mr. James Gatere, for his welcome and opening remarks. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all and welcome. It is such a great pleasure to see each and every one of you here this morning. So to my distinguished guests, to I&M fraternity, to our esteemed partners, beneficiaries, to my colleagues, to the people we have worked with, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you join us today to celebrate our function today. Indeed, it's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as we mark a significant milestone, 5 years of impact, innovation, and unwavering commitment to our planet, to our people, the people of Kenya, through the I&M Foundation. As the head of the foundation, I'm deeply proud of the journey we've taken together and even more inspired by the road ahead. So please let me start by acknowledging the foundation's directors who have provided the governance and leadership to enable us to achieve such an impact. I'd like to acknowledge in absentia our director, Mr. S.B.R. Shah, who's our founder and our chairman emeritus. He too wanted to be here, but was unable to be here today, but is very much part and parcel of what we are today. Then we have our director and our chairman, Mr. Eric Kimani, and he will be coming up and saying some remarks later on. The other directors we have is Mr. Sarit Raja Shah, Mr. Gul Khan, Mrs. Janet Mawiyo, and we have a retired director, Mr. Kihara Maina, who also passes apologies. These are the people who have been behind I&M Foundation and how I&M Foundation has grown over these last 5 years. The foundation's work is rooted in 4 thematic pillars. 3 program pillars, namely the first one being environmental conservation, where we preserve, protect, and restore the environment and promote sustainable use of ecosystems. The second one being education and skills development, where we enhance education outcomes and value addition life skills that ensures inclusive and equitable quality education. And the third is economic empowerment, where we promote sustainable economic growth and transform livelihoods. And we also focus on enabling giving, which speaks about our implementation model. We strengthen partnerships for sustainable community development. Outside, we have had about 10 different booths who represent the partners that we have worked with. Over the 5 years, I&M Foundation has partnered with more than 35 different organizations. We have 10 of them outside there. Please take a chance and just go through those booths, engage with them, and have a feel of the work that I&M Foundation has done across these different pillars. 5 years ago, we set out with a bold vision to be more than just a corporate entity, but to be a catalyst for change. and guided by our vision to see communities whose physical, social, and economic environment have been positively impacted as a result of our partnerships. For example, if I may just pick one pillar, the environmental conservation pillar, which is indeed our flagship pillar. Under the environmental conservation pillar, we committed ourselves to foster environmental resilience in places and counties like Nairobi, Kilifi, Narok, Nyeri, and Kiambu. And there's a lot of impact we've seen in those counties. We have invested in green infrastructure, supported urban reforestation, partnered with entities in the environmental space like Kenya, KCDF, the Kenya Community Development Foundation, and MITI Alliance to promote climate resilience development. We have also championed environmental resilience, supporting disaster preparedness programs, restoring degraded ecosystems, and empowering communities to adapt to the realities of climate change. This year alone, our staff and their families have joined our partners, and together we've held hands to plant over 175,000 indigenous trees in forests like Kirita Forest, Gong Road Forest, Elgeyo Marakwet Forest, Mount Kenya Forest, Mwacha Forest, and Bahati Forest, spread across Africa. Across Kenya. Soon to be across Africa, but across Kenya. And so we're hitting all those forests and pooling our staff and partnering together to make such an impact. So this is just part of the impact under our environmental conservation pillar, which is just one of the 4 pillars that we are focusing on. And I can go on, but let me stop there. I've not even talked about our partnership with KFS, the Kenya Forest Services, on our project in Marisha, Gong Road Forest, where we are fencing the forest, and we're just about to complete that, and developing the infrastructure so that we're transforming that sanctuary block of the forest into a safe, green, urban space for generations to come. And more of our impact and our journey ahead will be shared by our directors as they come forward and give their remarks. As we reflect on these achievements, we know our work is far from being done. The next 5 years will demand even greater innovation, collaboration, and courage. We will continue to align with the UN SDGs to deepen our impact and expand our reach, because the health of our planet is not negotiable. So to the leadership of I&M Bank, to our partners, our teams, our communities, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for believing in this mission. Thank you for walking this journey with us. Thank you for providing, for proving that when purpose meets action, change is not only possible, but also inevitable. As we go through our celebrations today, may we look back with gratitude to what God enabled us to do and renew our commitment to scaling impact through strategic partnerships, which is our theme for today's event. And if I quote a man called Martin Luther King Jr., he said, "I've been to the mountaintop, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I will not get there with you, but I want you to know that as a foundation, we'll get to that promised land." So here's to 5 years of impact and to the many more ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gatere. Let's give him another warm round of applause. All right, and I hope you've begun to share some quotable quotes, some good pictures that we've seen this morning. The hashtags that we're using is I&M Foundation, hashtag I&M Foundation at 5, celebrating 5 years of impact. And if you want to add a few more, We have hashtag learning, hashtag growing, and hashtag thriving. I'll keep saying this as we go along. And since I can't see anybody looking at their phones and posting with those hashtags, but it's okay, we've got time, and I hope you still get to do that at some point. Do remember to tag I&M Foundation across the different social media platforms that you choose to post on, preferably all. All right, our next speaker carries the vision for this work forward. Please help me welcome Sarit Raja Shah, Group Executive Director, I&M Group PLC, for the keynote address. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Deputy Vice Chancellor, Dr. Edward Mungai, distinguished guests, representatives from all ministries present, esteemed partners, members of I&M family, and especially all I&M Foundation beneficiaries who are at the heart of our mission. Good morning, and welcome to the I&M Foundation celebrations. Today marks the 5th anniversary of the I&M Foundation, a period defined by significant impact and progress in empowering individuals and communities. Our journey is rooted in a long-standing tradition of philanthropy inspired by our founder, Mr. S.P.R. Shah, and has been carried forward for over 5 decades. The establishment of the I&M Foundation in 2020, backed by an annual allocation of 2% of the bank's profit before tax, was a strategic move towards institutionalizing lasting, sustainable change. Our mission is straightforward: empower people, protect the planet, build sustainable futures. We achieve these goals through robust, community-driven partnerships. Environmental conservation is a key initiative. The Marisha Gong Road Forest Project exemplifies our dedication. This project includes a 14.2 perimeter fence, installation of new water infrastructure, construction of sanitization facilities, rangers housing, and restoration of over 50 hectares, an investment of 162 million Kenya shillings. Our environmental initiatives also focuses on Kenya's coastal regions, where we restore mangrove ecosystems and train youth and women as environmental stewards. In educational settings, we nurture future leaders by supporting school, ecological clubs, and competitions, reinforcing that climate action is imperative. This morning, when we were walking around and looking at the stands, exhibitions by our partners, it was very humbling to see that how the youth are taking this seriously in terms of the environment and how they're creating an impact in our society. In education and skills development, approximately 1/3 of our investment is allocated to this pillar. We have awarded over 600 scholarships ranging from secondary education to university level studies, including professional qualifications such as CPA and CHRP across institutions like Strathmore, Oshwal, and Moringa School. Our scholarship recipients have shown exemplary outcomes, with 100% of secondary school beneficiaries progressing to university. They become leaders and mentors in their communities, demonstrating the transformative power of education. Through economic empowerment, our approach prioritizes building sustainable livelihoods. In Narok, in collaboration with the Ma Trust, over 500 women artisans have increased their earnings by 35%, impacting more than 9,000 households. In Nairobi, our partnership with the Jonathan Jackson Foundation has enabled the creation of 15 youth-led businesses through the Jenga Business Matani program, providing training, startup kits, and mentorship to support sustainable development. We are equally committed to promoting sustainability within our organization. At the I&M Bank headquarters, solar panels have generated over 215 megawatts of clean energy last year. All our new bank branches utilize recycled materials, with some entirely operating off-grid. These accomplishment results from partnerships with the Kenya Forest Service, KCDF, Palmhouse Foundation, Rotary, GIZ, the Amara Foundation, local communities, and other stakeholders. Our collaborative efforts have received both local and regional recognition, including being named as the first runner-up for the Best Bank in Sustainable CSR at the Think Business Africa Awards. However, our most outstanding achievement lies in positively transforming lives. We invite all our partners and friends present today to join us in this mission. By collaborating, we can amplify our impact and further our collective progress. 5 years constitute a strong foundation. A commitment endures well into the future. Thank you all for your continued support and participation in this meaningful journey and being with us this morning to see what impact we are trying to create. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. All right, we will now watch a video by Christopher Saruni, and he will be doing a poem from herding cattle to protecting wildlife. Let's appreciate that passionate story by Christopher Saruni, who is a beneficiary of the I&M Foundation, as you have just seen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the steady hand of governance ensures that this impact is a sustainable movement. To hear from the leadership guiding this ship, please welcome the chairman of the I&M Foundation, Mr. Eric Kimani.
Good morning, good morning. You don't look very happy, are you? Oh, that's better. Good morning. If there was an award created in this country for the most philanthropic organization, not because I'm the chairman, but I would choose the I&M family. Show me one organization in this country, any corporate, no matter how big, small, that contributes 2% of their bottom line to philanthropy. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Salit, for those inspiring and comprehensive reflection on the journey of I&M Foundation, of which I've been a disciple, a follower, and I've been part of it. I've seen it all. The milestones you've shared are not only a mere testament of our past, they are a springboard of where we are going as a foundation and as a group. They underscore the transformative power of corrective action and remind us that the question before us is no longer, what have we achieved, but rather, where do we go from here? The theme of today's event, scaling impact through strategic partnerships, is not just a topic for discussion. It is the cornerstone of our strategic vision for the next chapter of I&M Foundation and the group. As a group, we have set an ambitious target to positively impact 50 million, I did not say thousands, 50 million lives by 2030. This is not a distant aspiration, it is a tangible goal embedded within our group strategy, Imara 3.0, of which, again, I know a lot. This strategy integrates sustainability into the very fabric of the business of the bank everywhere, guided by our sustainability action plan. Our future will be defined by our resolve to do bigger, better, and bolder things within this area. First, we will expand our efforts in enabling the last mile financial solutions. And those of you who know our program, Nisare Kabisa, we are the only bank that gives free services on the M-Pesa platform. And this has brought us a 59% increase in customers in the last 1 year. Our vision is clear. It's not just about our own prosperity, but the prosperity of Kenyans. Secondly, we are intensifying our commitment to business sustainability. And I think Salit has talked about this. We have pledged to reduce our operational carbon footprint by 30%. Thirdly, we will scale our initiatives aimed at enhancing the quality of life in our communities. Our foundation's work in education, environmental conservation, and economic empowerment remains central to our identity as a bank and as a family. We will pursue innovative, systems-level solutions and forge partnerships that address the root causes of social and environmental challenges. This vision demands collaboration. This vision demands partnerships. We have already made significant strides in expanding our partnerships across our 4 pillars. And again, this has been mentioned, but under the economic pillar, we are partnering with the Ma Trust, and I'm fortunate to have visited them earlier last month, and working with the German nonprofit GIZ to empower over 40,000 women and youth in Narok. Under the education development pillar, we have committed over 200 million shillings in partnership with this university Strathmore, to establish a STEM facility, to build and equip a STEM facility. And we are working also with the King's Trust to equip over 6,300 students, not to mention others like Palm House Foundation, where I'm very, very involved. And we select hundreds of students. Today, I want to extend a call to action. To our partners in this room, and I see a few industrialists here, bring your boldest ideas, challenge us. Let us co-create the next generation high-impact solutions that will help us reach the 50 million mark we have talked about. You do not have to do everything yourself. Like I&M, you can work with partners like the ones who are here. To the wider corporate community, let us build a powerful coalition of business committed to leveraging our collective resources for greater good. To the beneficiaries, particularly students who may be here or who will be hearing us, you are our purpose. Your resilience, ambition, and success are the true measure of our impact. Continue to dream, to strive, and to lead. We care, and will continue to care. The I&M Group is committed to being more than a financial institution. We will be a convener, a catalyst, and an unwavering partner in building a sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future for all of us. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Kimani, for challenging us to be part of the solution and also for inviting partners to the table to co-create with the I&M Foundation. Let's appreciate Chairman one more time. All right, and at this point, we have time for another video by Phyllis Njeri, who's an I&M Foundation Scholarship beneficiary, and thereafter another video by Barclay Odhiambo, From Dream to Reality with the I&M Foundation. All right, as the technical team sorts that out, perhaps we can start with the other video. All right, Timothy is on standby. Timothy? All right, so as we sort that technical issue out, I'd like to welcome Timothy, who will give us one or two spoken word pieces. Let's give him a warm round of applause as our technical team sorts out that video.
Good morning once more. So I shall do two pieces for you. The first one is called Shepherd of Fire. Okay, allow me to stand on this other side because of the lighting a bit. So the Shepherd of Fire is a poem that I wrote a while back when basically the theme about it is overcoming fear and doing everything with courage and with perseverance, with hope, with diligence, and with honor, because in honor lies integrity and consistency. What is fear that we should be dismayed? He stands at the door, intrudes our thoughts. He says, run, but we ask, to where? And he says, just go, it doesn't matter the direction. Then what's our motion? It matters not the condition. How about the doubts that you uphold in veneration? It matters not, for beyond the skies lies the canopies of redemption. forged in fire, a grand attenuation, a journey walked with no trepidation, purposeful, forthright, and glowing with dedication, taking what is ours without contrition and without any apologies. For we rise beyond the storms. There was a time the road was steep, where dreams lay buried, locked in sleep, where doubt would whisper, cold and near, "You will not make it. Give in to fear." But the heart is iron, and the soul is aflame. It burns through darkness, and it calls our name. Through the nights of struggle, through the days of pain, you planted hope like drops of rain. Every tear becomes a seed. Every scar, every vow, a silent creed. You walked through the valleys, alone and unheard, yet carried the strength in every word. The storms, they roared, and the winds, they broke, but still you stood through with every stalk. For giants may fall to those who strive, and dreams take wing, but hope remains alive. You climbed the mountain, stone by stone, through aching limbs and weary bones. You bled, you fought, and yet you would not yield until dawn, when you lit up the battlefield. Now see the summit, the skies embrace. The sun paints gold across our faces, thanking the support that we have been given. The chains are shattered and the night is undone. In your hands, the crown we have earned, and we shall win, for victory is abound. For victory loves not those who give up or despair, but for those who try. For those who refuse to bend, those who dare to fly. Like eagles, we soar up to the sky, 5.93 miles above the skies. Through the storms, we spread our wings, unfettered, untethered, without any fear, walking with courage, without any indignation. So let our triumph thunder aloud, stand tall, unbroken, fierce and proud. For every storm that sought defeat, bowed to the fire beneath your feet. All this thanks to the hands that took us in and walked us through the shadow in the valley of the darkness. That's the first poem. Okay, this the last one is here. I'll do this one after. I want to do the second one. Okay. The title of this second poem is called "The Gift of Light." In the hush of dawn that once felt far, when dreams were dim and far, distant and vast, a whisper of hope crossed through my weary way, a promise of sunshine in the skies once gray. I walked on paths where shadows grew, with pockets empty, yet visions true. I prayed for a hand, cried out and called for a sign, a key to unlock the gates of destiny. Then came a voice, unseen yet near, a voice that shattered the silence like broken glass. The I&M Bank came in like a golden thread. They wove strong where doubt had often spread. You are not just mere coins. You are an open palm, an embrace, a hug, where cries were silent in the night, in the toilets, in the deep forest, because you didn't want our tears to be heard. You flung ajar with embrace, with kindness, and opened the doors to knowledge. Through the lecture halls, through the night stalls, through ink-stained hands and the midnight oil, your grace became my steadfast shield. In every storm, you held the field. Not just for me, but for hearts that ache, for dreams that hunger for changes and chances that they take. Your kindness ripples deep and wide across the currents of human tide. And I look back to my past, humbled by the gaze, to the roads of struggle, the smoky haze. Now standing here in my final stride, I marvel at the hills that we dared to climb. And to others who share this sacred grace, who bear the torch of this noble race, march on with courage, be fitting without any doubt, and be still, For honor bows not like anyone, and bows to no one with an iron will. Hold fast to ambition, let gratitude soar, weather the storm, for there will be no more. But with hearts of valor and souls abound, no chains of hardships can keep us down. So here I stand today, my thanks a song. To the ones who journeyed my road along, to sponsors, to patrons, angels unseen, where are your wings? You painted the hope for none had been. May the blessings bloom where your kindness has grown, like gardens kissed by the sun's warm glows. For every dream that you light, you create a path. Be crowned with joy and endless night. For the scholarship that we've been given, the chance that we have had, the beacon, the light has been a gentle hand. You built my castle that was once but a sinking sand, and now I rise with a voice made free. For your victory in me is victory for all, a society freed by your gentle hands. Thank you. Okay, this is the last one. For now, with deepest gratitude, I stand here today for the gifts of knowledge along the way. To the foundation, I owe a debt so vast for believing in me, helping me hold fast. Your kindness has lit the path that I now tread, a beacon of hope where dreams are fed. And to Strathmore University, I offer my thanks for shaping my mind and strengthening my ranks. In halls where wisdom and passions collide, I have found my purpose with you as my guide. And to the financial aid office at large, so true and kind, for your steadfast support, always seeing me through. Your guidance has been the wind in my sails, helping me rise when the journey prevails. In each of you, I have found a steady hand, lifting me high, helping me stand. For you, for your belief and your grace, I will forever be true, grateful, humbled, and inspired by you. Thank you.
I want to believe Timothy deserves a bigger round of applause. I don't know about you, but I've never met a financial economist who not only appreciates poetry, but actually writes it and recites it. So thank you so much, Timothy, for sharing your story with us. A big story of impact, and we can't wait to see you shine. Timothy is a fourth-year student here at the university, at the Strathmore University, studying financial economics. Let's give him another warm round of applause. As I welcome Christopher Saruni, we saw his poem earlier. Christopher is also a beneficiary. Christopher, are you here with us? All right, let's give Christopher a warm round of applause. He will be taking us through a spoken word piece about the impact the I&M Foundation has had on the work that he does.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christopher Saruni, a beneficiary of I&M Foundation under the Kenya Wildlife Trust Scholarship. I did a diploma in wildlife management in the Wildlife Research and Training Institute, and I just completed, and my graduation will be on December, and I look forward to continue with my degree, master's, PhD, and all round. So with me, I have a poem that I will present to you that is titled From Looking After the Kettles to Safeguarding the Wildlife. So it goes as follows. From the hearts of Amboseli, where the lands meet the sky, I once stood a shepherd boy surrounded by grazing cattle. And my world was very simple, the fields and the sky. But my heart was restless, yearning for something greater, something beyond the fields. As I attended, my cattle caught deep in the routine. At a distance, I observed the elephants roam freely, and their majestic presence stirred something deep in my bonds. And at every glance, a longing grew to protect these wonders, to be part of something great. Then came a spark of hope, wearing the badge of I&M Foundation. And as Kenya Wildlife Trust, being my guiding star, they reached to me, lifted me from the dust, and opened doors to a future that I never knew existed. They saw potential where I saw limits. They invested in a boy full of passion. They opened doors to where I learned conservation, the act of protecting what makes our land breathe. This life has been full of transformation, from the fields to a future, from looking after cattle to protecting wildlife. I&M Foundation, you have not just given me a scholarship, you have given me hope, a way forward, a future, and a dream that has opened. So today, as I stand before you, I just don't stand as your student. I stand as a conservationist. I stand as a dreamer, a leader, and above all, a thankful soul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saruni. All right, I'm told we now have Barclay's video ready, so let's train our eyes on the screen and listen to the story from Barclay Odhiambo.
My name is Barclay Odhiambo. I'm a lawyer by profession, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I&M Foundation sponsored my undergraduate studies at Strathmore. I'd always wanted to study law ever since I was a little kid. I had the challenge of not being able to meet the fees because my parents are both primary school teachers, so there was absolutely no way they would afford that. Wondering if is this the end of my dream? So I took a leap of faith, still applied for the law degree, applied to Strathmore for the scholarship. My mom told me, what's meant for you is going to be for you. And there was this time, so the dean called me randomly I think it was on a Tuesday. Classes had already begun. It was 1 week in, to tell me that I&M Bank had offered me a full scholarship, a stipend every month, as well as my accommodation. And I was completely over the moon. I thought that, this was a way for me to break out of this circle of poverty and lack of opportunity. Not only has it empowered me as an individual, it also ended up empowering my family, my siblings, also empowering the outside community. As part of Strathmore and I&M doing the assessment on whether they can give you the scholarship, they also visited our homes. I even have a picture that was taken during that visit back then in 2014, which I go back to look just to see where we came from and where we are now. We had mentors, specific mentors from I&M Bank who held our hands and helped us navigate life. Currently, the legal and compliance manager at Pesapal, where I oversee the legal and regulatory compliance operations in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Zambia. The dream I'm living today, or the things I'd hoped for, I'm actually living my dream because of that act of I&M Bank.
I am the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is stories like this that remind us why we must continue to play our part in creating impact. And we have seen some of the pillars of the foundation from the stories that we've listened to this morning. And basically, it highlights 4 pillars. One is education and skills. The second is environmental conservation. The third is economic empowerment and enabled living. We do have stands outside, so if you haven't been able to meet some of the partners, please feel free to do that when we do take our lunch break, which will happen right after the panel discussion, which starts now. I actually need to buy a tablet. These papers are quite many. All right, please help me welcome our panelists to come up on stage. I'd like to welcome Janet Mawio, Director, I&M Foundation, and founder, Galvanizing Africa Consult. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she makes her way on the stage. I'd like to welcome Michael Wayaki. Michael is the founder of Miti Alliance. Let's give Michael a warm round of applause. I'd also like to welcome Grace Wakesho Maingi, Executive Director at KCDF. Let's give her a warm round of applause. And Dr. Vincent Ogutu, Vice Chancellor, Strathmore University, and our host this morning. All right, good morning to you all, our panelists. I know we had met briefly earlier, and we're looking forward to this conversation, which will help us unpack what strategic partnerships actually are, what we look for and what that impact should look like in a strategic partnership. And before we get there, give us a brief introduction about yourself, what you do, and the partnership your organization has with I&M. And of course, for Janet, of course, she sits on the board, so you'll tell us a little bit about what you do. Let's start with you.
Good morning. It's fine, okay. Yeah, Janet is my name. I'm part of the board of I&M Foundation. What do I do? I think I first come from the background of dealing with the challenges we face, the development sector, where I've been for, I guess, 40 plus type of years. And I think that came from a passion of just wondering why the world was the way it is, where you have all kinds of very capable people, but they have not always had the chance to grow themselves. And so because of that, I went into the development sector. And I've always been concerned about scale up. How do you reach more people with education, with the kind of knowledge that would make the earth a better place? How do you give economic empowerment? And that's what drove me to go into the development work. And after many years, I actually coach leaders. That's why I have the company called Galvanizing Africa. People are in the sector. So again, just continuing the journey of helping out and trying to see what is one thing you can do every day that would make the world better. So I think that's how I would introduce myself right away.
All right, thank you so much. Michael?
Thank you. Hello? Okay. Thank you. My name is Michael Wayaki. I'm the founder of MITI Alliance. I'm so happy to be here as we mark 5 years. We are MITI Alliance, and we have also our foundation side that is MITI Global Foundation. And we've been in the restoration space and environmental conservation space for quite a couple of years. This began as a passion project in my early youth years, onto the time that we realized as a country we were facing a lot of deforestation. And MITI Alliance was born in 2018, and our focus area is on specifically schools, communities, where we have environmental programs. And these environmental programs are not just about, let's have a tree planting activity and that's it. But it's more of like what we've done with I&M Foundation, where we stick in that school. It's not an event, it's a journey where you partner with the school, you partner with the students, you set up a tree nursery, you set up an environmental club, you do kitchen gardens, you do an orchard, but you're working with these young students who possibly will one day be the Wangari Maathais of Kenya. So that's what we do, and we've been privileged to work with I&M Foundation and other partners, but what's unique about I&M Foundation is that we've been able to do a lot more in the specific schools that we are working in. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, and we're looking forward to hearing a bit more about that story. Grace, let's come to you.
Thank you so much. My name is Grace Maingi, and I work at the Kenya Community Development Foundation, KCDF. KCDF has been working in Kenya for the last 28 years, and our focus really is around sustainable community development. We believe that people give and people work together. And so how do we bring that together really to ensure we have sustainable development and also foster social justice? With I&M Foundation, we've been very privileged to work with them right from the foundation, when the foundation began. We were able to work around the livelihoods work that they do in terms of livelihoods and economic empowerment. Right after COVID, I think we all remember how traumatizing COVID was, especially for vulnerable communities. So with I&M Foundation support, we're able to ensure that the most vulnerable not only received emergency support, but more sustainable support in terms of business grants. So what that enabled is moving people from extreme vulnerability to being able to have a sustainable income as they move forward. So we're very privileged to have this partnership. We've also worked in the environmental space. And for us, one of the key things we always joke with James is that we want to grow trees. We don't just want to plant trees. So working with communities to ensure that communities are at the center of ensuring that trees are growing, making sure that there's protection around that. And through that immense work, we're able to see reduction around charcoal burning, but even within that, livelihoods being changed. So we're very, very privileged to work with I&M Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Dr. Ogutu?
Feel like I could just grab their introductions and appropriate them because I see so much of what we do and what I do in what you've all said. So I think of education. So Janet, you went into development in order to have the impact. And we're trying to have the same impact, but because we believe education is an accelerator. So you get people going through an educational process, and then they become so capable of solving the world's problems. So that's the model that we're following. And the part that keeps me particularly excited is the magical or dream side of education. So you have these people who come in, they have these dreams, and then later on you can watch them on a video talking about how they're impacting Africa because the dream became possible. And so I love those moments when somebody's telling you about something that doesn't exist, and then a few years later you celebrate it. So we're so happy to partner with I&M to be here celebrating a huge milestone. 5 years later, actually talking of impact that has happened, and then preparing for the next cycle where people walk up to us with a dream. We make it possible by providing a Strathmore education as made accessible by I&M Foundation and the bank. So very excited to be here, and as your host, giving you a very warm welcome to Strathmore. Karibuni sana.
Thank you, Dr. Ogutu. So my next question will also be to all of you. From your unique and different, vantage points that you've just told us about, whether it's, corporate philanthropy, community development, environmental action, or academia, what does the term strategic partnerships truly mean to you, and why is it more critical than ever for driving sustainable impact? Let's start with you, Janet.
Thank you. When you look at the scale of poverty in the world today, you look at, or even in Kenya, let's just focus on Kenya. When you look at what happens in the different parts of the country, the different challenges we have, and there you are, you have an operation somewhere. It's really impossible, however big you might.
One, two.
Yeah, it's impossible for an actor to really manage to make a real difference unless you learn the importance of strategic partnerships. Because strategic partnerships enable you to cut across things you don't even know anything about, but by finding that actor who is working in that particular region or working on a particular problem, your impact goes, even when you are just sitting wherever you are, whether you are in Mombasa or in Nairobi, or headquartered in Nairobi like I&M Bank. And so for us, strategic partnerships, it's a big way of scaling up. It's a big approach to being effective across sectors, across all types of problems that you have. So if you are committed, for us, strategic partnerships enable us to begin to make a difference in many of these big global challenges. Look at the kind of weather we have had in Nairobi, for example. How do you explain that? It just shows you how important it is to address the problems around environment. And even health of the people is beginning to be affected. So strategic partnerships enable us to get into that space, be in Narok even when we are not there, be in Malindi, you know, and the stuff happening out in the coast, being in northern Kenya, being in all kinds of places, because we are connected to guys who are committed, people who are working right on the ground, communities. So it becomes a vehicle for touching. It has enabled us to have all kinds of relationships and to begin to make a difference, you know. So that's why strategic partnerships are really important, just finding the right people who are focused, who have integrity, who are passionate. And that's what we look for at the foundation.
Oh, thank you, Janet. So leveraging on shared values and the strengths that your partners have. So thank you. Michael?
Thank you. For us, strategic partnerships are represented here. Strathmore has provided to us 2 of our most amazing volunteers. And I knew you would be here, and I wanted to put you on a side and tell you we had a fantastic time with them. But more so where I&M Foundation comes in, where we as people who are on the ground, we are pushing this challenge of can we fight off the challenges of climate change? Can we conserve our environment? That we lack the resources, but there are people who have the resources and they need the partners who are doing the work. So where we come in is we need Strathmore because we need volunteers. We need I&M Foundation because we need the funds to go to the right places, to the places where there's need. We also need, like, say, staff, because we have some events that we've done with I&M Foundation in the forest, where the staff volunteer on specific days. Say, for example, we are working in a school, like the one we did, one of the schools that we did in Laikipia, and we could have a staff day where I&M staff can come and give to the students and speak to them about their careers, what they do at the foundation, what they do at the bank. And you're not just coming there to do an event. You're not just coming to plant, as you mentioned. You're growing a community. You're growing in so many levels. Now, let me paint a future as well of what that strategy would mean. Is that for us, working, we have our base in Nyeri and we have a model center. And we have been collecting rare indigenous species and we've been researching them, finding out how they are used, what are their uses, the medicinal value. Now, if these young students that we work with in the primary schools are handheld to follow career paths such as ecology, environmental science, or they become botanists, we are also looking at it from a medicine side, where they will go into that path and, of course, provide the solutions that our society needs. Now, the one that is so easy to understand is food security. Now, if these students learn how to grow the fruits, learn how to grow their food, and it's through the foundation partnership that we have been able to do all this. Now, we cannot do it by ourselves. We still need the volunteers. We need the community support. We need the staff. We need that techie person who will volunteer for a day with us at that school. And there's so much that we could cover when we are together. And for me, that's the long-term vision I see, that there's a lot more that we could do well when we are working together.
Thank you, Michael. And I love the analogy that you began with, that this is what partnership would look like. So thank you so much. Grace?
Thank you. A strategic partnership is really a win-win situation. That whichever side you're on that partnership, you're both winning. Your values are aligned. What you want to achieve is aligned. That makes it strategic. And I think one thing we must applaud I&M for and the foundation for is not imposing its ideas on what communities need, but first listening to the communities and then being able to ensure that then they're working together. So for me, a strategic partnership You're able, as Janet has said, even when you're in Nairobi, there's impact you're seeing across the country. You're not trying to be everything to everyone, but you look for partners who you're aligned with and say, let's work together. And it's not an extractive relationship. It really is win-win on both sides, and putting, for us from the community development sector, putting communities at the center and seeing what does everyone bring to the table.
Thank you, Grace. Dr. Ogutu?
I think when we talk about strategy, it all starts with vision. So you have a vision and then you create a strategy around it. How do we make it happen? So I&M Foundation has its vision, we have our vision, and there are parts of those visions that overlap. We realize we have a similar vision of what we want to finally happen in terms of impact. But then you can't do everything. So at some point you realize we're very good in education, we don't know how to do finance. And then I&M are very good in finance, they're not in the nuts and bolts of education. And that makes a recipe for a perfect strategic partnership. So you bring the part that you're really good at, we bring the part we're really good at, we work as a team, and then we realize this particular vision. And one of the things that we look for, in addition to having a common vision, is that we have common values, that certain things are important to us as they are to you. And if we have actually competing values, then we couldn't work together, because we just have to be who we are, you have to be who you are. So with the I&M Foundation, you're definitely big on healthcare, on education, and so we have that overlap in the vision and in the values, and we're now bringing our expertise. We couldn't do it alone. We know how to educate, but we can't attract the best talent if the best talent doesn't have the finance to come here. And I&M is making that possible. So that's how we see it. Each one brings their expertise, and we have that common vision and values.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ogutu, for that. Janet, I'll come to you now. Sitting in a corporate foundation board, how does the I&M Foundation move beyond a donor-recipient relationship to build truly strategic partnerships? And I guess just to pick up from something Grace mentioned about the win-win situation and not the the one with the resources determining what needs to be done. So how does that real, truly strategic partnership look like?
I think at I&M we recognize that it's a relationship, and it comes from having common values, a common vision of what the world should be, and understanding that we can make a difference. And so if that is common, and if you find people who are aligned with you and where you want to go, then that becomes the glue that brings together. It's not about dictating. It's not about telling somebody what you should be. It's finding that common thing between you. So of course, when we want to make the world better as far as conservation is concerned, for example, you find that alignment. As you find that alignment, then it becomes easier for you to go. You're not pushing. They are concerned. The herding man, Seruni, he's concerned. He's actually looking after cattle and suddenly realizes things are not going right. So, you are not pushing him. You just came together because you actually are concerned about the same things. And he has the local knowledge, so he runs with it. So that commonality just makes you go places. Yeah, and I think that's what we look for, that alignment, being relevant. That's why we're talking about enabling giving. You're just enabling people to go where they want to go. And actually in the development sector, we are talking about community-led development, allowing communities to take the lead, to be the ground, to be the basis. And at I&M, we do our best to do that. And it's also a relationship that is not one-off. If you talk to a couple of the partners, and I'm sure I'm speaking correctly from what I know from the foundation, many times we don't just do what I call hit and run relationships. A serious relationship is long-term. We do our best to make resources available for not just 1 year, actually longer. And very often you finish what you started with, if it was 3 or 4 years, and you start moving further, expanding. What did you learn from the last time? How can you build on that? So strategic relationships make it possible to do that because we are grounded on, and that's why we like checking what do we have in common? What's the governance like? You know, because you don't want to work with somebody and after a while you realize maybe they're not very accountable. So because of that commonality, they have good governance, they are reliable, they are committed, they are actually passionate. You know, that passion just brings it together. And because we want to make the world better, our analysis, even of the sectors we are talking about, is based on not things we've brought. It's based on the challenges we are seeing around us and recognizing education is the equalizer. If as many people have a chance to have education, then they wake up. And with the many sectors that are there, then those people just run and you don't need to do anything. They'll be running, they'll have the resources. Poor communities, when they have livelihoods, they'll just move on. They'll educate their children. They'll go to hospitals when they need to because you've enabled them to grow a social enterprise that allows them to just run. You know, when you do this education, environment, economic empowerment, all those pillars are informed by what we witness on the ground. So it's nothing we are imposing, it's just finding now that connection. And then now you scale up because you're in the position to provide something that they need to move it to the next level. And that's what the foundation is about.
I see a common thread, when it comes to shared values, and I think that, forms the basis of strategic partnerships from what you're sharing with us. Michael, let's come to you now. As a founder of a community-focused environmental organization, tell us a little bit about some of the most significant challenges that you face when trying to form partnerships with larger corporate entities.
That's a good one. So one of the major challenges for smaller organizations based in the community is can they measure up to the needs of the funder or corporate that they want to partner with? Are they able to meet the reporting guidelines? First of all, funding is usually just the underlying challenge. Can you get funding to get to do what you need to do? But when it comes down to, are you able to report in the format that you're required to the partner or corporate partner? Then often we are faced by this challenge of most corporates will want a one-day event. And that has been different with I&M Foundation. And I'm not just saying because I'm here, but it's a fact about why follow-up is critical. And follow-up is the growth of that tree. Follow-up is the training that you're doing. So you'll find that a small organization will not have the muscle to push and pull because they need, number one, maybe to survive. They need the funding. They are pushed to the corner to just handle that event, and it becomes an event and an activity. And I think that's something that most of us have gotten ourselves to, where you see there's very many tree planting events now that the rains are coming. Everybody's going to be planting. But how many are going back to look at the trees they planted last rainy season? We had a Mazingira Day, we had a tree planting day. How many have gone back? Best for you if you have a farm somewhere in Shags and you will go Shags anyway over Christmas. But we find that sometimes it's so hard to justify how you work because you don't have the capacity. So we look upon partners who will understand where we are, how our growth pattern is. Scale is another issue because you want to scale, you want to do 200 schools because you've already proved with 50. But now you need a person to help you with reporting, with storytelling, with capturing those moments, with writing the reports, finance. You will be dealing with someone reporting about how you spent the money. So smaller organizations never see the light of day And that's what has happened to so many community amazing ideas. And I feel like what I&M Foundation has done with us and other partners is see us where we are and walk with us on that journey. But I'd say that Kenya, there are amazing people doing amazing things. And some of them are pretty young. And someone is driven by passion. Someone is driven by their community is suffering, but they don't know how to go about it. And I feel like it is a challenge to the room and to anybody who could be here, maybe in tech, that when Kenya moved in the tech system, in the fintech system, we developed hubs. We had iHub, NILAB, we had so many things that supported that ecosystem. Okay, where is that ecosystem now for environmental conservation? How many hubs are there that can support these young communities, these young university students who are in Strathmore, in JKUAT, KU, to build their ideas that are maybe for commercial forestry or for restoration? But they have to build on that idea to a level to convince a corporate to fund them, and the corporate will require them to have the structures that are needed to say, I will hold you accountable for the 5 million or the 1 million I give you. So that has been a major challenge, that there aren't enough hubs or structures that support very young community-led organizations.
Thank you, Michael. And I think it's amazing how you have talked about the challenge and also proposed a solution in terms of creating sustainability hubs, to train community-led initiatives such as yours to be able to work better with corporate entities. And I guess the challenge is out to us now to develop those sustainability hubs. All right, Grace, will come to you now. KCDF champions community-led development. How do you ensure that the partnerships you forge are empowering the community? And perhaps this also speaks to what you had mentioned earlier, rather than being directive.
Thank you so much for that question. I think the analogy that I want to give is that if you want something to be sustainable, the people at the center of it, if they're not driving it, there's no sustainability. So from our perspective, it's very important for the communities who are affected, who are there, to really be at the center of it. And that's what enables sustainable development. There's a story that is given and has been told in many spaces whereby someone comes in, digs a well, leaves, puts in a borehole with a pump and leaves. And they say the community needed water, yeah? But they dug the borehole, and you hear the variations of the story. When the borehole pump broke down, the community sat back and said, we're waiting for the person who dug the well or put the pump, fix the borehole to come and fix it, because they didn't feel that ownership. And so how you have to ensure that communities are really at the center for sustainable development. If communities are the ones saying, this is what we want, this is how we want to partner with you, it moves from being directive, that we think you need water and it's going to be via a borehole. But we think you need water, tell us how we can partner with you. The community will say, we've already started doing X, Y, Z. Could you come in and do 1, 2, 3, 4? So for us as KCDF, we strive to really work closely with community partners, hear from them, what are they doing, what are they going through, and then we reach out to corporate partners like I&M Foundation and say, we have been in this community, this is what they're already doing, would you be willing to journey with them? And that really enforces sustainable development.
As you said that, it reminded me of a story during my journalism days of a donor community that came into a village and set up a borehole. But people did not go to the borehole, even though there was water, because for the women, it was a time for them to go meet each other by the river, hang out, talk. So they didn't care about the borehole at that point. So it's an important, story to really think of what community-led actually means. Dr. Gutu, let's come to you now. What's the unique role that academic institutions play? And perhaps that sustainability hub question will also come to you in terms of, how can universities like Strathmore University support the ecosystem?
Thanks, Terry-Ann. So we, I would say, are a trusted partner because as an educational institution, people don't expect us to be in politics, to have a hidden agenda. We're supporting this party or I don't know what. They just see people who are developing the capabilities of others, who love knowledge, who are developing new knowledge. So then you become this trusted partner that can talk to industry on the one hand, that can talk to the I&Ms to support us. On the other hand, you have the students, you have the faculty. So we become like a hub, attracting people who care about a particular conversation. And then through that, most of what happens is innovation. So it might not play out the same way every time. So in the case of sustainability, for instance, we said the best way to teach is by example. So if we're going to teach sustainability, how about the university becomes a living lab? So we put up solar panels on the roofs of our buildings. We have a 600 kilowatt facility, and then they can see that we're trying to source power in a clean way for themselves. And then we thought, but we want to help the whole country to change. So how can we do that? Let's see how to feed it into the national system. You have all these diesel-powered independent power producers. They can turn on the switch whenever the grid needs more power. But with solar, it doesn't work like that. We're generating power all the time. How do you interact with a system that is designed for switching things on and off? So we had to then use our research capabilities to develop a protocol to feed into the national system, and then work with the government to develop such a protocol and be the first ones to do it. And now we can go back to our educational thing. How can we train other people on how to do it? So they come to Benchmark. We have a training thing for solar engineers. And then we just help sustainability that way. And we've done it on the solar side. We're now beginning on the clean hydrogen. And again, partners. So we're working with partners in Australia. The government has told us, we're watching you. Let's see how you do it. We'll do the same pattern. We'll install the facilities here. We'll generate power for ourselves. We'll create protocols to feed into the grid. We will create training programs to have green hydrogen engineers, and then just go through the cycle again. So I think that's what we do as a trusted partner. People think we're safe to talk to, we care, and then they just support. And these are things we can talk with the I&M as well. If this is part of your vision, then how can we be the part that accelerates it for you? And how can you help us do it bigger than we could because we don't have the funding? So that's the way we see ourselves, just in the middle of very interesting conversations that could change the community.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogutu. Janet, I'll come back to you. So in the room, we've got partners, we've got community leaders, potential partners as well. And I guess their question would be, what do you look for in a partner?
Thank you for that question. Even from the conversation, obviously we are looking for alignment. We are looking for serious ownership. As Grace is telling us, when you are passionate about something, you own it, you have ideas about to resolve, we are not going to be imposing you. We are looking for people who are accountable. We live in a country where corruption is a problem. This is real. It's not something that, we just imagine. We see it every day. So we are looking for people who are different by what they have been doing and how they have been doing. So we are looking for people who have demonstrated being accountable by the little things. And you can't be accountable with 5 million if you have never been accountable for with 500,000. So we look for track record. What have you been doing? Who has been funding you? What have you, even with the community, even if you are just using community resources, how do you demonstrate that you have been honest with that which you have got? What structures do you have in place? So obviously, governance is an everyday thing, and we witness it in this country. How are you practicing governance yourself in whatever it is you're doing, irrespective of the sector? because you need to have good governance. What kind of people are you having on your board? If the people in your board are the type who have been hitting headlines for the wrong reason, surely we're not going to touch you because we don't want that mud. We want to remain as clean as we possibly can. So, people with structures, with teams that are accountable, however small they are, even where communities are working with volunteers, you can see it, you can feel it. And of course we are looking for people who are making an impact. Because at the end of the day, if we invest resources and we are not making a difference, we are not changing lives, then we'd be wasting, and we don't want to waste. So that's why, I think these are the sort of things that would attract us to you. And of course, if those are the kind of things that you stand for goodness sake, we would like to partner with you. That gives us more leverage of being a more impactful, company. Because we are doing the business we are doing, but we are also making a difference on the ground. So those are really the kind of people we want to partner with, and we are looking for them. We want to scale up. We want to do much more in this country, in all these areas, and probably in others. We want to kind of make a more impact in some of the things that are pressing in this country. Health is becoming a big issue. The group, despite all the achievements in education, there is so much need, especially at the moment, across the sector. So, of course, that's why we need people who are serious. People who are serious with those kind of things. Those are the people I&M Bank Foundation is looking for.
Thank you, Janet. Michael, I'll come to you now. What advice would you give to other grassroots organizations seeking to attract and maintain these kind of strategic partnerships?
Thank you for that question. What I'd advise to other grassroots organizations is, number one, transparency. No matter how hard it is to do a 10-page, 20-page sustainability report, just get used to reporting. Share updates, whether it is on social media. Talk to people about the challenges that you face. There will be genuine people out there who will see you. The other thing would be start building capacity, either for yourself or for your team. And sometimes it's an idea driven by, say, like myself as a founder, or you have other people who have believed in you. And community groups do have memberships. So you might find you have a very active chairman, a treasurer, and a deputy chairman, and a few members who will always come together to do an activity in that community. And document that. Document what you've been doing, how you've been doing it, your challenges, and what are your gaps. And as you start growing, don't expect that you will go to the 10 million, 20 million. It could happen. But as you've rightfully said, can you be accountable for the 200? Can you be accountable for the 500? Can you be accountable for multiple projects in multiple regions? Then I feel like these groups need to build relationships. I feel the power of collaboration has really helped us. Like in regions where we are not there, we go there and look for the legit organization, even us as a community organization or as an organization. We want to work with someone who has been doing what counts, what matters. Then finding those meaningful collaborations that can help and support the work that you're doing because you are also aligned. You're aligned in your values. Again, of course, as you said, corruption is a big issue. So it's in our level where we find that you will still find people who will want to ask you, what did you do last year? How many schools have you been to? What have you done in the community? What are your dreams and ambitions? So do you have that? So however small you may be, I feel that as a community organization or as a young organization, that there is ways in which you can build your profile towards being able to be fundable, reliable, and that you can be trusted because of what your track record has shown.
All right, thank you. Grace, I'll come to you now. You have mentioned that KCDF has been operational for about 28 years. Perhaps you can just tell us a little bit about some of the key lessons in terms of supporting and amplifying community-owned solutions, and perhaps a quick look at, what would best case look like?
Some of the key lessons, thanks for that question. Some of the key lessons we have learned over the years is that even as there's grant support in terms of cash, it's important, as Michael has mentioned, that we also provide capacity strengthening for the partners that we work with. So we recognize as KCDF that there are partners working right at the community level that would not have opportunity to receive funding, whether it's from corporate partners or even from bilaterals, for example. And so we see our role as KCDF, and one thing we have learned over the years is how do we amplify the work that they're doing with the capacity strengthening, but also give them platforms whereby they get to interact directly with people who could potentially support their work. So for us, we're very happy when we have worked with a partner maybe for 5, 6, 10 years, and maybe we have been getting support from a particular corporate, and now the corporate recognizes this organization is strong enough and they're able to then work with them directly. For us, that is a lesson that we have really hung on to, that our continuous capacity strengthening, but also giving them platforms where they shine. It's not about us, it's about them, is really important for us to really ensure there's growth in community development. Another lesson that we have learned is that we need to be authentic. We need to have partnerships that are trust-based, whereby there's no constant suspicion. As Janet has said, by the time you want to work with someone, be clear that you know they're transparent. So you're not always second-guessing them as you move along. That's a very important lesson we have learned. We recognize we have biases in the work that we do. As I sit here in Nairobi, I'll have biases about how I think things should happen in Kisumu. I should recognize those biases and put them aside and really listen to what communities want and not impose my ideas or even my conception of how things should be in that work. So for us, really, those have been lessons that we have learned. We've also learned that we really inform or ask our partners, those who give us resources, to look at this as a long-term journey, not a hit and run, as was mentioned earlier, because it's only through a long-term partnership that more trust is really developed, and being able to recognize that we both learn. So even for us as KCDF, we learn so much from the community partners we work with. And we know even for our corporate partners, they do learn very much from the community partners. So it's not a one-way street. It's learning on both ends.
All right, and in the spirit of capacity building, which you have just talked about, I'd like to rope in Dr. Ogutu on this question on how can partnerships between academia, foundations, and social enterprises accelerate research, which is something we haven't touched on right now, innovation and the development of talent needed to solve some of these complex community challenges that we've heard about.
Thanks, Terry, and that's actually a complex question. There are so many parts, but I'll try and put it together, and some of it has actually been answered. So all three speakers, so Janet, Grace, Michael, you've talked about trust. That's something that slows down everything in the economy if there's corruption. And that is one thing that we try to do as an educational institution. So people think we just train people in skills and knowledge, and that's it. But we think our bigger contribution is building values, because if you're sending people out there who have values, then they can be trusted. And that means you can do things a lot faster. You don't have to keep double checking, due diligence, et cetera, et cetera. So trust is like a really big component. Then there's something you said, Grace, which I really liked. You used the word, we amplify the work of our partners. So just like I could speak without this microphone, hear me, but not too well. And now it's amplified because you bring in this, and So I think part of the partnerships is we see what you're doing, and then we put it on another platform that gives it wheels and just takes it further. So that's what we can do with research, for instance. So we'll see maybe Michael's doing a great job at the community level, and we think it has the potential to be amplified, or I use the word leverage, which banks, I&M use. So we take something that's already moving, and like a lever, you use the same force to carry a greater weight. So we take Michael's example, and then we say, okay, he's focusing on the trust by doing better reporting. Now, if we put him as an example before other people, and they emulate him, then his impact is amplified. And how do we do it? By doing the research part, by doing a case study, and then putting him out there and giving him a platform to be visible. And now suddenly you have impact. So those are ways in which we can amplify the work of our partners. And by working together, you have the data as partners, we have the analytic tools and the platform to share it on. We can actually collaborate to take something that's already good and amplify it, just make it bigger, leverage it for greater impact.
And that leads us to our final two questions, which I will pose to all of you. And the first one is one that's looking ahead and perhaps exploring some solutions that we should be looking at as partners. Looking ahead, what innovative partnership models, whether that would be involving technology in the age of AI, blended finance, perhaps cross-sector alliances, what are some of these possible solutions that are exciting you about what the future of strategic partnerships for social impact would look like? Janet?
I think there are a variety of things. And some of it comes from just looking at where we are in the world, and also the scale of the problem. So when you find actors who are able to multiply, or they've perfected the area that they are in, and they are able to move it at scale, or even work with multiple factors in a way where they have perfected the kind of the approach. I kind of resonate with what Strathmore is talking about. You find something is working and you figured a way of bringing it at a much higher level where you can do it at scale. I think finding partners like that makes a lot of difference. We also look at some of the problem. The problem of the youth in this country is a big one. So when you find actors who are able to look at any of these areas and working with youth, working with tech, they are able to get the youth to own, to drive, to multiply, to communicate, to show impact. That is really innovative, and that would allow the good things to be actually known, and hopefully others will be able to look at them and push them to another level. And of course, tech is something that is really enabling a lot of problems to be solved, whether it is from farmers, whether it is health. Health is a big thing, but if you find a way of reaching, the people at the village with communication, using tech or even M-Pesas, not M-Pesa, tech, the way we communicate, we send messages, and you're able to scale that and reach more people, that is, so really it's finding approaches that allow the scale up, because the challenges, the numbers are increasing. And so those are the sort of things that we create: creativeness, innovation, reaching numbers, reaching the vulnerable, women, because women are powerful in terms of how they end up reaching, whether it is the children or, that's just the population, enabling them do social enterprises, for example. So when there are ways of multiplying any of these things that are touching the nerve of this country in terms of where poverty is hitting, then those are things that we really would want to do, because they make a difference and they allow us to raise as many people from being at the bottom. Here, it's a third of our population that's living below poverty line. Those numbers are really terrible, very disturbing. So it's looking at what nerve can we touch that would really get some of those numbers and begin to transform.
Thank you. Michael?
So that's a very unique question because I feel like in our space, we've really been going around and we are at the right place here at Strathmore to foster some of these collaborations, and I&M Foundation is right here. AI and AI tools, that's has come of age. One of our flagship projects is Meet Schools program, and we have developed a simplified curriculum that's able to communicate to the students and children. We use virtual reality kits to entertain the children, but we are trying to show them the why. Why conservation? Why are we here to plant and grow trees? So you're using a tool that will show them an elephant or a lion and see why should you conserve the environment that these animals and you get your water or your livelihood. So AI tools that will encompass research, that will be able to distribute, amplify the curriculum to as many students as possible in two ways. We're seeing that there's an increased number of cases on cancer. It was featured lately in our news. It was in Meru and in Kirinyaga. And we are privileged to work in those two counties. And we have seen that firsthand. And the issues are tabling around how is the food grown, what pesticides are being used, what knowledge can you give the children in the schools? They may be young, but they are actually consuming so much information that they will be able to make the right decisions when you teach them how to grow food in a regenerative way. So we see that there's a lot of linkage to use to distribute the curriculum, the knowledge. There's research in it because these kids will be in JSS very soon. And then they'll be in high school, and then they'll be in university. What career paths can they get into? We are told as Africa, oh, we have the largest growing population of people, and who's feeding those people? If all of us will be in the city. And we are now told that Nairobi is buzzing, it's going to grow. Who's going to feed them? And if we are to close our eyes and think, where does our food come from? It comes from the food producing counties. How are we producing that food from there? How are we producing the fruits? So there's the health component, because health is affected, our economy is affected, because so many people will get sick. You will be involved in one way or another. But again, the gap in the education sector is still, as you've said, it is so big because we go to schools that lack the necessary resources. And we chose that public schools is where we are going to go to. It may be challenging, but that's where we see that there could be a significant transformational impact that leads now to raise the communities. That child is going to go home. They're going to do what they learned at school, and they will start their transformation at that level. So we have moved a generation down to start safeguarding what we have and trying to restore the future from the children. So it's going to take some time, and it's going to take a lot of partnership, collaboration, and meaningful partnership that can help us to go there.
In Kiswahili, they say, samaki mkunje angali mbichi. Mbichi ama mchanga? Mbichi. Those ones who said mchanga, I know what your score was in Kiswahili. All right, Grace, let's come to you now.
Thank you. I think one of the things we're very excited about is we're innovating around financing, and we're shouting from the rooftops around this in terms of matching what communities raise for development. So what this simply means is that a community would come together, they want to, and we also quantify the in-kind resources they've raised. And then we look for a partner who will match what they have raised. So we've seen that this innovation around the financing strengthens sustainability as well. The other one we're extremely excited about is around supporting and giving catalytic funds to young environmentalists. And these are environmentalists that we're supporting who are using innovation to address environmental and livelihood challenges at the community level. So allow me to have a shameless plug. Right now, the application process is open for young innovators from as young as 15 to 35, both individuals and groups. And we hope that we'll be able to get great innovations that address solutions around the environment, but also livelihoods. And that is something that we're looking for more partners to join us, because those catalytic funds are able to bring these people to scale, are able to bring them to be investor ready. And we recognize the power of small and medium-sized businesses in addressing social challenges such as the environment.
Thank you, Grace. Dr. Gutu?
Your question went around innovation and partnership for bigger impact. And I come back to that original thing we talked about, dreams, dreaming, very big dreams. And what comes to mind is the model we're using at Strathmore, which is how will you impact so many people? You can't touch all of them. We don't have the capacity to touch every single person we want to impact. So our model is be exemplary. So create models that work, that are so good, and then allow other people to imitate it. They're the frontliners in all the different places where they have touch points. And so indirectly we reach all these people, but by first being exemplary. So what I see us doing, for instance, with I&M, is we innovate how this kind of partnership could work. We create a model that is so impactful. So it's not just, give us the money, we educate them. That's what it looks like at a simplistic level. But when you now start innovating around it, what kind of scholars, I&M scholars, do you want to have? What role can I&M play in their mentorship, in their internship, in supporting even some of the initiatives they might have to have impact in their communities, representing I&M and Strathmore? And then we create this highly successful model. And it takes a bit of time. At first, it seems like you're just dealing with a few people. And it's what the founder of Strathmore used to say, that for a while, you'll be like a compressed spring. No one sees anything happening, but you're compressing it. Then the day you let it go, it has so much force. It can have such a huge impact. So we spent some time creating a model that can really transform the scholars, and by extension, their communities and whatever organizations they work for. And it's and we also measure it really well. We create really good measures, so you can take it to the bank. Anyone can say, this model works. And then we present it in a very teachable way. And after we do that, we finish compressing the spring, we're ready for action, and now we deploy it to the rest of the world. And then the exemplariness of that makes us have impact at scale. So that's the vision that I have, and looking forward to creating a very, very good model of impact.
All right, thank you. Now, very quickly, hopefully 1 minute each. What is the one key action or mindset shift you would urge everybody in this room to adopt to help foster more effective and scalable partnerships for a better future? One. Well, it could be a sentence.
I think a learning mind. Yeah, because things keep changing, but we need to keep learning so that we are incorporating things that allow us to move forward.
A learning mind. Michael?
I'd say values, that shared values bring more meaning to whatever you're doing.
Shared values, Grace?
We must shift our mindset that communities have nothing and that they're powerless. They have a lot. How can we enable more giving, more development by partnering with them?
All right, Dr. Gutu.
Yeah, my favorite topic is purpose. So if we have a very, very ambitious purpose, like we look at the problem that we're trying to tackle, and then we see it from that perspective. So what role can we play as partners to solve a really huge, complex problem? So I would start from just aligning on what's the big problem that gets us out of bed every day.
Purpose. Thank you so much. So we had prepared these questions for them, but I have one last question which they're not ready for. So you have been given an opportunity to create a billboard. The billboard is maybe outside Strathmore, on Waiyaki Way, University Way. And you need to pick one word. I&M Foundation is, or I&M Foundation has. I would say I&M Foundation is impact. So I'll give you 2 minutes as we play Phyllis's video, and we'll come back to you for that one line.
My name is Phyllis Gitahi, and I'm a beneficiary of the I&M and Palm House Foundation Scholarship. They sponsored me for my high school, and I'm really glad to be here today. I received the Palm House I&M scholarship when I was around 14 years old. I was in St. Mary's Girls Primary School in Nakuru, and I had this mathematics teacher. Her name is Shemak. We had gone through a number of, scholarships, and I missed all of them. And these ones were the ones that my dad himself had gone to search for. And then I can't remember really talking to my teacher that much, but she was a really good friend of mine. I didn't even have to tell her, so she just called me one day, told me on the D-Day, like, come to place X and X, and you're going to have an interview, you're going to say a little bit about yourself, and then hopefully you're going to get it. And I went there and I got the scholarship. I needed the scholarship at the time because my dad was the sole breadwinner of our family, and my mom was not feeling quite well, so she couldn't contribute per se. And we were 5 siblings at the time. I can't remember the fees in exact, but it was quite high, so it didn't make sense for him to manage that and also keep taking care of all of the 7 of us. I'd say that having to relieve my dad of his responsibility basically at such a tender age, it was not a big deal to me. Like, I genuinely wanted to. He tells me, you see, because I have younger siblings, he tells me, like, I shouldn't stress over them. As I'm studying, I should do it for me, like, for my future and everything. But I know, like, Nina Paswa, I feel I should. I've seen him do already so much. To me, it is a lot. Trust me, it is a lot. So I feel good when I do that. After we finish every term of high school, we used to meet all the students who were sponsored by Palm House at that time for mentorship. So I remember the first time that I went, we were given a foolscap, and you were supposed to write a letter to your sponsor. So in my head, I'm like, I thought it's Palm House, but then they said no. I think I asked someone, I don't remember really, but yeah, that was when I was told about that it was I&M. And then at that time, no one had come from I&M, but I think the next time, that was the second term of my first year in high school, I&M Bank came. I think we had a little session after the group mentorship with everyone was there. So yeah, I think that was my first interaction with I&M. The most outstanding thing for me during the mentorship programs were the one-on-one sessions. And like, we were given the chance to sit down and talk to a doctor, no consultation fee. Like, you could actually speak to the doctor, you could speak to CEOs, you could speak to literally anybody you dreamt to be. And I don't remember the specific names, but I remember each of them used to tell me, you can be me, you can be better than me. And that coming from a person who's already made it, it was really better than even hope. It was, I can actually do it. Like, really, I can. For some reason, me going through the whole, sponsorship program and everything, I think it's made me a better person. I can relate better with Dad. And I think I even have words to tell him, because I got the words while I was being mentored, and that's beautiful. I love that. I'd like to say a few words to Cha Emma Bichanga. She was the teacher who told me about the Palm House sponsorship and under I&M, and I would really like to thank you. your call on that day. Probably you didn't know, how much I needed the scholarship, but your efforts, you following up on your students, on me, to know what I need, to know that I really needed this scholarship, and for you to go a step ahead and even to find me this scholarship, I am really, really grateful. And I would really like to urge, all the teachers or basically anybody in a position of power. Like, if you have the ability to influence people, I'd kindly ask for you to, take keen interest in each and every one of the ones under you, because you never know, you might really impact them a huge way, such as how Shema impacted my life. To the Palm House I&M Foundation, I have been able to make really, really good friends. And I was so happy that today I was called here, just me and Kerry. So I'm really grateful for this organization and the fact that it helped me get such amazing friends.
I am the future.
All right. I&M Foundation is?
The partner with a difference.
The partner with a difference. Michael?
I&M Foundation, iko kwa ground.
Iko kwa ground. I love that. Grace?
Sustainability.
Sustainability. Dr. Gutu?
Transformative.
Transformative. Absolutely amazing. Let's give a warm round of applause to our panelists as we come to a close. As I'd like us to step forward just to take a photograph with... Okay. All right, I've just been reminded that we've got some questions, an open session from the media. Please take your seats. Do we have any questions? It could be the media, it could be somebody in the audience. If you've got a question you'd like to ask our panelists. Yes, sir. Can we bring a mic, please? Please introduce yourself once you get the microphone and who you'd like your question to be addressed to.
Thank you. I think I'll get up. This is my first time that I'm coming to this foundation meeting, and I'm looking forward to be part of the foundation in some way. I have something going around in the foundation with James here, but it has really been enlightening to understand the foundation, and it's for what they are really looking into, creating an impact, sustainable impact, as you said, and partnerships. My question would be a little more out of the context. We have today a serious issue in the country, which is unemployment. It's an elephant in the room. Everybody knows that and has the numbers in their mind all the time. And then there is a crowd right on the top, which is starting from C-suites and coming down, that there is no space left there. We have so much education, so much value in terms of knowledge in Kenya, because I find the youth are really knowledgeable here, educated, and the space is limited. Where are we going to take that unemployment to become value to the sustainable growth of the youth so that they do not have to do what they do when the time is there on the streets? To me, I think what the foundation would probably come out with an innovative mindset is look from the perspective of making a deeper roots, not just in urban, but in semi-urban and villages, by bringing, as you rightly said, the communities, but giving a point of opportunity of educating with sustainable income. And that I was not very clear to understand on the foundation aspect or how they could do. Of course, let me introduce myself. I'm Rajiv Arora. I'm an old account holder of I&M Bank and known to your father as well. I have worked for the government for 8 years as advisor to the cabinet secretary. I have also been appointed across the country for the State Department of TVETs as the chairman for dual training. And I found that the opportunity is immense, and not just within the country, it's outside. You know, the conventional methodology of jobs has still not gone. We talk of AI, we talk of virtual, but there's so much space left there. But yes, we need to bring some sort of hybrid in that conventional training by bringing some knowledge of AI so that when they are there doing the job, they can upgrade themselves into a senior position. So to the foundation, I would like to understand how that can be related to specifically from semi-urban or village level. And I find that there is a whole vacuum which is within those areas. And if they find the right partner, they can pick on few where they can bring, or by the suggestion of the panelist, probably that would be my question, is how they can make that impact going deeper. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Dr. Ogutu, would you like to take that? And perhaps from the foundation side, we can have either James or Janet?
Okay, it's a fantastic question, something I'm very, very passionate about. So you're looking at the unemployment in Kenya and Africa, and there are various reasons for it, but quite often we approach it from a helpless perspective. There's nothing we can do. When the fact is you have these youths, they're actually very talented, which means they have potential to grow the talent into skills. Imagine you bridge that gap and they get skills. Then they have to meet opportunity. They don't know how to do that. They've not been trained on how to signal that I could be useful to you, I could give value to you. And so what we're trying to develop here is like a 4-part series. First step is how do you discover your talent, what you could potentially be exceptionally good at. And there are psychometric tools for helping to do that. There are strategies to help you discover your talent. That's step 1. Step 2, once you know what you could be exceptional at, how do you begin the journey? Where will you get the skills training? AI can help, and there are various ways of doing that. Imagine you've done step 2, you're now very skilled. Who knows you? Where are the opportunities? Do you know how to look? And if you find them, do you know how to prove to people within a short space of time that I'm the person for the job? We can show you how to do that. So you reach step 3, you've got the talent, you've got the skills, you've got the opportunity. And why did you do it? You know how to signal and capture the opportunity. Is it to enrich yourself? Or is it to actually make a difference in the world? Could you tackle huge, complex problems beyond being rich and famous yourself? And yes, that's the purpose side of it. So if you follow those 4 steps, it should be possible to do it. And we can always work on how to do that. What do we do at stage 1? How do we do that at scale? What do we do for stage 2 at scale, stage 3 at scale, and then finally purpose?
Thank you. Janet, would you like to take that?
I would say that's why we are here. Because we are looking for strategic partnerships with people who have the solutions, people like yourself, and being able to maximize on the experience, the observation, and you notice in our tagline, learning and growing. We don't have all the answers, but together, as we leverage on what different people have, technology, the Strathmores of this world, we can go places. So at the foundation, we are doing our best to keep a learning mind and not a forceful group in terms of this is the solution. We are open. Please come, give us your idea of what you think can work, and we are happy to work with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Janet. Do we have any more questions? I think we can take 2 more.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Mary, and I'm the founder of Tojali Empowerment Network, an organization that addresses the problem of youths in the slums being highly susceptible to drugs and crimes. So my question goes to not really Michael, but also I want to echo what Eric Kimani said. Recently, our main focus is training youths, but you find that as an NGOs, you find other correlated problems. For example, we moved our center from Lolongo to Konza, where we are constructing a training center. But you find as an NGO, we're having a problem of many other problems from the problem that we're addressing as a center. For example, I visited Miti Alliance. Why? Not because we are planting trees, but because I moved to an area where climate is a problem. And I was happy when Eric talked about bringing ideas whereby we can, the foundation can form partnerships, because I am not an expert in planting trees. My work is to train youths, but you find that as an organization, I might need services of Miti Alliance. I might need services of another organization dealing with a problem that I am not an expert. My question would be, maybe does I&M Foundation have a hub or a platform where different founders dealing with different problems can connect, whereby as Twajali, yes, I'm addressing the problem of youths, but there's someone else who is addressing a problem which we are suffering from, so that at least it becomes a network whereby we might find solutions even within ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Janet, would you like to take that?
Wearing my development hat, I would say that's why we encourage people to network, people to join in different forums. An organization like KCDF has lots and lots of opportunities for networking. Aligning oneself with such organizations always helps. Being here is another opportunity to network. That's why you're saying, walk around, see what other people are offering. And even as I&M, whenever we have an opportunity, forums like this, I always say, even when you want to start growing oranges or tomatoes, visit other farmers who are doing the same. You'll be amazed by what you will learn. So it's true you cannot have all the solutions yourself, but if you leverage on connections, just keeping alive, talk to people, even as you talk to Miti Alliance, chances are they'll connect you with somebody else who is doing some of the thing that you're looking for. So networking is a very, very important thing to do, whichever area you're in. And it's something we continue to support and to encourage.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to chip in? Michael?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. I think, there's that missing gap for us in the environment space. I feel like there was the iHubs, NILabs, and tech space and fintech, but we are finding university students who are taking environmental courses who don't know how to pot a seedling. So their course should provide, say, a place or an environment where they're able to learn all those practical things. Then the thing that we have as young organizations, or as even if we lack these hubs or centers of excellence, is we have social media. So I feel like, as Janet has mentioned, that there is a way you will network, you will know one person, and that one person will link you to another person. And also what we've learned from our side is that we have to get out there. We have to be in the spaces that things are happening. From like the energy perspective, that's only one line. When you come to the tree growing side, it's something else. Climate change, carbon, carbon credits, all those things stem out to so many levels. But this is one space. Online is another space. but also even just as a challenge, as I mentioned earlier, that we now need environmental hubs that will foster these young growing organizations that are going to continue to provide solutions for the future.
All right. I think in the interest of time, will allow me to close it there for now. My apologies. But yes, allow me to call it a day for now, at least in as far as the panel discussion is concerned. We still have so much more to do. We've got lunch, networking, and then of course we've got our stands, our partner stands outside. And as our panelists have said, networking is everything. The right people are in the room, so we'll have ample time, and we'd like to have ample time to do that. All right, so we'll now have another photo session. Please stand. And I would like to invite Mr. Sarit, please come and join us on stage for this photograph. Please stand. All right, I'd like to invite Mr. Eric Kimani, please come and join us. James Gatere, please come and join in for... Mr. Gould, please come and join us on stage. All right, you'll be patient with me for a bit. There's a set of pictures. I have been given instructions, very specific instructions. All right, so the next picture will be Mr. Sarit, Mr. Gatere, Mr. Gul, and Dr. Ogutu. But our partners, please remain on stage because we'll still do another one with you. All right, for the next one, Dr. Ogutu, you may take your seat. So we'll now have Janet, please come and join the team. Thank you very much. In the spirit of ladies first, Grace, please come and join the picture. Madam Janet, please remain in the picture, please. All right, ladies, you may take your seats now. And Michael, please join for one picture. Oh, Janet, please. Please stay on stage. Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Gu. We don't want you to get into any trouble. All right, thank you all so much. You may take your seats. Let's give them a warm round of applause as they... All right, and as I'd mentioned earlier, we will be taking a lunch break now, but there's so much more to celebrate, community to engage with. We've got the Impact exhibition, which is happening outside, which has beneficiaries showcasing and selling their products as well. So make sure to grab something beautiful. We've got artisanal crafts, sustainable goods, and agribusiness products as well. We've got some entertainment. We've got a DJ and a hype man performing for an interactive and festive atmosphere, which is what we're doing this afternoon, which is celebration, and a student and HR networking. This has been mentioned on the panel. If you're a student, please take advantage of this session where we'll have students and HR from I&M Foundation and the bank networking as well. So there'll be dedicated areas for informal networking between students and I&M Bank HR. So make sure to take advantage of that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a morning. Have you been as inspired as I have? Where are your hands? Thank you so much. We've been inspired by the stories of the beneficiaries, challenged by the insights that our panelists have shared with us, and moved by some of the powerful stories. I hadn't been warned that it would be a tear-jerking day, listening to some of the stories and the stories of impact from students who have benefited from the foundation. So we have seen that the I&M Foundation story is not one the foundation just talks about by itself. We've heard about the impact from the voices of those who have been positively impacted. The students who now have skills and jobs, entrepreneurs who now have businesses, and communities who now have a champion. This is the proof, and this is the impact. So the official program now concludes and the celebration continues. Please join us outside to immerse yourself in the impact exhibition that I've talked about, where you can meet beneficiaries, and please buy their products. Thank you for being essential collaborators in this journey. Thank you to I&M. It's always an absolute pleasure to partner with you, and have a wonderful afternoon.